Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just thought I'd do a quick 5 things video just to chat a bit about the rugby on Saturday. It's been quite a hectic weekend for me. Obviously was at Loftus, was there quite early to watch the Boks game as well. And just, after everything, Saturday, Sunday became a bit of a blur. So I didn't get this video out a bit earlier, so apologies for that. But yeah, looking at Saturday's game, an exceptional game. I was supposed to say exceptional is probably the wrong word. It's not that good. Maybe I should try to stay away from the superlatives. But a good game for the Springboks, a good run out. First game of the year, lots of rust, lots of things to work on, and lots of things that Russie and them can really concentrate on in terms of detail in the next 2 weeks without giving away too much. I think what we've got to realise, both South Africa and Wales were without a bunch of stars, and both of them gave a hit out to some young players. Saying that, the Boks were certainly 30 points better. Didn't get always the rub of the green with the scrums, but some notable newcomers coming through. A couple of talking points to go about before the Irish series, and we're obviously going to be looking at the Irish series coming up as well. So 5 things that we thought that I thought should be mentioned. 5 takeaways from the Boks win over Wales. Let's start. Number 1, I thought the scrum, South Africa's scrum is extremely healthy at the moment. There are a few sides in the world that could change props on as regular basis and probably bring in some youngsters that like the Boks may do in the next couple of months and still find scrum penalties from everywhere. We saw the Bulls getting a couple of scrum penalties against Glasgow. Not as good as they would have hoped, but certainly still a lot to be proud of that Bulls scrum this year. We saw the Stormers and Nieting for sheer winning a lot of penalties over there, and you still got the likes of Trevor Nyakane who can come back. Plus the props in the squad at the moment. Vincent Koch got his 50th. The Boks scrum was exceptional. I didn't quite agree on some of the calls. The Boks didn't get the reward all the time for their scrumming. Referees saw it very differently to a lot of people, and there was a couple of pundits out there who I saw on Twitter also agreed with me, foreign guys, ex-players. But the Boks scrum certainly something exceptional, and we can see that being a huge point of attack against Ireland this year. How many times, as I'm sure Ireland will try and stay away from the scrum, they've got a good pack themselves, but I think the Boks will definitely use that as a point of attack come the Ireland series. So that's number 1. Scrum is extremely healthy. Number 2, depth aplenty. Well, you can't really complain about the depth in Springbok rugby at the moment. The tough times the Boks went through in COVID, and after that test in Bloemfontein where they blooded 18 guys, there's really a wealth of talent coming through. We saw a couple of debutants in this test, and a lot of them did a lot better than we expected they would, or should I say, shone on the day. You had the likes of Sasha Ngumzulu, who came through and put through a very good penalty, announced himself on the stage, looks calm and collected under pressure. Certainly looks like he was just made for Test rugby, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot more of him as the weeks go by. I expect him somewhere along the line to get another shot. Certainly didn't look out of place at all. We had Jordan Hendrickse, who I don't think had the best of games, but a bit nervy at times. But there was a lot there to work on, and I think nothing. Didn't have a nightmare, but his distribution maybe needs a little bit of work. But he was targeted quite often in that channel, and I think it was quite understandable to see that he maybe had some nerves there. But I thought all in all, he didn't come through badly. Probably a 6 out of 10, probably not more than that. But certainly didn't disappoint that much. I think he was better than a lot of people expected he would. Then Edward van der Merwe, the obvious star of the show, he saved a certain try with his double tackle that he did in the first half there. Just showed incredible work rate, was really willing to do the harder yards, and then got the reward later on with the try that he scored late in the game. Certainly man of the match, and a great cameo for the guy, and really great to see him coming through. This was him after the game, just chatting about his Man of the Match award.
Man, it was incredible, very humbling. It's like my first start for the Springboks to get Man of the Match. But honestly, I think the way we prepared the last 2 weeks has just given me a lot of confidence in the system. And today I could just be myself. There's no real nervousness. I could just go out and be able. And I think the guys around me really helped me. JC, my pimps, gave me a lot of confidence. Always chatted to me and just made my job easy. So yeah, great man, memorable first start for South Africa, and hopefully that's not the last one.
A try as well? How cool was that?
Yeah, no, I called for Grant of the little ball off his shoulder, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I went through and obviously crossing the try line. I was just overcome with emotion and just it took a moment just to take it all in, and it was incredibly special.
And finally, Jason Dixon, who certainly didn't have a bad cameo at all. Didn't get that much game time, but he certainly put in some of the hard yards. A real workhorse, somebody very much that the Boks are looking at in the mould of Peter Steph du Toit. So it's good to see him come through as well. And I think we're going to probably be seeing a lot more of him in the future. Certainly somebody who's really made his name and does all the hard work and doesn't take all the limelight for the Stormers and now for the Springboks. Number 3 is quite easy. There's still a lot of work-ons for the Springboks. This is by no means the finished product. This was a game primarily to give a couple of guys a run out to blood some new caps and to give some of the Japanese-based players some game time. It was also beneficial because a guy like Malcolm Marx got a chance to get some minutes under the belt. Although in both halves, the Boks weren't exactly great in the lineouts. They weren't at their own standard. They did enough to be more than a pass mark, but I think they'll be looking for a lot more accuracy in the coming weeks, and will certainly want to tighten that up. I think just general gameplay, there was a lot of mistakes. There's a couple of penalties, and they just didn't generally at times in the game didn't have periods where everything went their own way. Now that's credit to Wales. They upset them a bit. They did score a try against them. And it's hard to make out for that because you want a big Bok victory. You want a good Bok victory in a game like this, but you also want things to work on. So there's plenty of food for thought for Rossi and his management team come this week. And you could see there was definitely a bit more of an expansive approach there. They really tried to move the ball around the field a bit more. Probably see that a lot more. I'm not sure we'll see too much of it against Ireland, although it depends who the personnel is. We're going to definitely see a couple of older players. The Orange is now available. Vili should be back, Vili Leroux, and that should make a huge difference to the backline. But there's a bunch of players there who certainly showed that the Springbok future's in good hands. There's a lot to work on, a lot of detail coming through, but I think the Boks are in a situation where they're pretty happy with that because that's what they wanted. They wanted somebody to test them a bit, measure of where they are, and now they know. And they know now what they have to work on. Number 4 is, without saying, Ireland will be a much bigger test for the Springboks. They're much more seasoned side. They won the Six Nations. They've got the obvious disappointment from the URC. They've had an extra week to plan. And they're really going to come to South Africa looking for a win to play some mark out there. The Boks, of course, have also got a lot to prove in that test series. They know they haven't beaten Ireland, I think, in the last 3 or 4 contests, and they'll definitely want to change that narrative. It's also the first test the Boks will be playing on South African soil since the World Cup victory. There's a lot going into that. There's a lot of talk around that. Ireland will pose a significant challenge for the Springboks. In fact, if maybe not, I suppose the All Blacks are the other one. Those two will be the benchmarks for how their year goes. That will be how people look at it and look at their season. But I think the Springboks are pretty well-oiled machine. But, and I say but the whole time, lots of work-ons. The step up against Ireland will be significantly more. Wales aren't at the moment in the same league as Ireland. And I think we have to realise that, and I think we have to understand it. And I'm sure the Springbok management know that all too well and will be drumming that home in the players. And the 5th and final one is that there's going to be selection poses aplenty. If you think of the players that can come in from the Boks, the Boks haven't at the taping of this video, haven't announced the squad for the Island Series. That'll come very soon. But if you think of some of those players that can come in just on the wing, Kurt the Orange, Cheslin Colby, who could be ready from his knee niggle. You look at Edwin van der Merwe, who's already there. You look at Makazole Mapimpe. Caden Moody, who can come back in, and a number of other players who can play wing as well. Certainly some choices there. Willie LaRue, does he walk in now with Damien out? Or do you stick with the youngster? I take it Willie will probably be back. But Damon Willemse will be back at some point, and then you've got a choice there to make, and Damon is the incumbent. What do you do with Sasha, and where do you play him in the team? Do you play him in the team? Do you put him on the bench? Yeah, those type of questions. Andre Estes and Damien De Allende, both of them exceptional qualities. The Kanye Am is fit again. Does he come back in? Jesse Creel certainly hasn't had a bad season either, and was exceptional in the World Cup. So there's a lot of those sort of questions, that need to come in. What happens with the halfbacks? Which of the flowers are you going to take? Are you going to go with Mane as Andre's backup for the Test series, or are you going to go with one of the youngsters? Lots of choices there to make in the pack. Who succeeds Dwayne Vermeulen? Do you stick with Evan Roos? Or do you go with somebody like Cameron Honeycomb? Although there are reports that he's injured at the moment and he might miss the series. But Jasper Wiese is also out. So do you stay with that? Do you give Pepsi Buthelezi a chance? Just where do you go with this? Erkes Snyman, does he come back into the squad, or is he a bomb squad member again? And which front row do you take? So loads of poses to talk about. Certainly going to be able to pick a very strong squad, and hopefully there'll be a couple of new faces in there. But I think the core of it will probably be from the World Cup. So those are the 5 takeaways I had from the weekend's action. I'm going to leave you with the Boks who were delayed in London, we saw this on Twitter. Just look at the name, Shantini Naidu, who recorded this on Twitter of the way the Boks were handling the cancelled flight, and they're in London for an extra day, meaning they'll get to South Africa a day later, which has delayed the naming of the squad. And I'll leave you with that. We'll go out with that video, but enjoy it. There'll be more videos, and if you haven't already, smash the subscribe. Sorry, I almost forgot what the button is. It's the subscribe button. Smash the subscribe button and the notifications bell if you want to know when I'm notified when I put up new videos. But there'll be a bunch of these going up, a bunch of press conferences as well, and interviews. And our podcast, To The Last Drop, comes up every week as well. Got some great guests this week. Going to be looking back at URC and the Blitzbokke, so keep an eye out for that. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll chat to you soon. Cheers.